Hi, my name is Beer, and let's start with GTFO, which you can play for free this whole weekend. This is a 4-player cooperative game. Good news for you, since you are obviously short of friends, the vacuum of your life can be filled with bots here. Playing with them can be irritating at first, but when you learn their mechanics, it's actually quite fun.
Said every lonely person ever.
Oh, shut up. Of course, game developers still recommend playing with real people since the game requires a level of communication and tactical combat, and a good strategy is necessary to win the game. Many of the creatures of GTFO are suspended in state of hibernation, so light, noise and vibrations can easily wake these sleepers up. Better leave your multi-purpose, noisy, vibrating flashlight at home, so if one of the creatures knows you are there, they all know. Be cautious when deciding on shooting. This game will truly test your patience, since it is a hardcore shooter and it doesn't have a difficulty setting. Although despite the fact that the graphics and atmosphere are amazing, GTFO can become quite repetitive rather quickly. Chivalry 2, which you can also play for free this whole weekend as well. Years ago I tried the first part of the game. I liked it so much that I played it for several hours non-stop. I had great internet, so anyone with slower connection died from my swings like bleeding pigs just because of the lag in their pathetic homes. I felt like a combat god, but that only lasted until some averagely talented players with good internet speed connected to my server and, I started to die a lot. That I didn't like. I have a similar story with Chivalry 2, but somehow this part was easier for me to learn and I had tons of fun. So here you'll try to dominate massive 64-player battlefields. Catapults tear the earth apart as you lay siege to castles, set fire to villages and slaughter filthy peasants in the glory of team objective maps. Also, a fully featured mounted combat system will make you feel like a true knight, and that includes the ability to trample your foes, land devastating front and rear horse kicks, unhorse your opponent with a lance and engage in a deep melee combat with grounded or mounted opponents. The game has a very positive review score left by tens of thousands of players, so I think it's safe for you to give it a try. Shadow Tactics: Blades of the Shogun. This is a hardcore tactical stealth game set in medieval Japan around the Edo period. You will take control of a team of deadly specialists and sneak into the shadows between dozens of enemies. Choose your approach when infiltrating mighty castles, snowy mountain monasteries and hidden forest camps. Set traps, poison your opponents or completely avoid enemy contact. Game has an overwhelmingly positive review score, meaning that for this price it is a masterpiece. Although keep in mind that the game sometimes may prove to be insanely difficult and some missions are beyond hard to crack. So be sure that you have not forgotten how to use that tiny, not very important organ between your ears, because you will need it more than ever. People on Steam are talking that if you like classic Commandos or Desperados 3 for example, this game for sure is your spoon of potato salad. Blasphemous 2. Awakened in a strange new land and displaced from your final resting place, you thrust back into the endless cycle of life, death and resurrection. There is no other option than to explore this perilous new world and uncover its long-forgotten secrets. There is nothing game-changing or very innovative in the second part of the Blasphemous, but you know the rule: if it's not broken, don't fix it. Your journey starts anew in a series of enchantingly grotesque landscapes, oozing gothic charm and littered with unforgiving traps. How you tackle the labyrinthian world remains at your discretion. There is no wrong turn to be made, only scores to settle. Taking down your enemies won't be easy, but the game is offering more chances to customize and improve your skill set, along with several new unique weapons to wield, so victory might just be within your grasp, but probably not. Marvel's Midnight Suns. Here you'll become the Hunter, the first fully customizable original hero in the Marvel universe. You can personalize your appearance, choose your reactions to situations, and build friendships with other Marvel characters spanning the Avengers, X-Men, Runaways, and so on. Like in many similar games, you will decide who to take with you on missions, which missions to embark on, and a host of other options to make this a unique experience. The game is made by the creators of the legendary XCOM series, so there is no surprise that the game has a very positive review score on Steam and is appreciated by Marvel fans and by turn-based lovers as well. Monstrum. This game was one of the most entertaining things I ever played. It is a really scary experience, but also really fun. You will have to escape the ship of horrors by doing some tasks, like finding parts for the helicopter or building a raft. And these parts are all over this massive ship, so you will have to travel huge distances in order to collect them all. Fun part is that you are not alone. Somewhere in this ship lurks a terrible monster, so you get the point. This game is best enjoyed with friends, but I don't have co-op mode or anything like that in mind. Monstrum is a single-player experience. Just take turns trying to escape the ship. I guarantee that this game may become the pinnacle of your evening with buddies. Honestly, I never laughed so much playing horror games with my friends. Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew. So this is an all-new strategy game set during an alternate history of the golden age of piracy. The terrible curse of lost souls haunts the mysterious island chain known as the Lost Caribbean, which is under the control of the terrible forces of the Inquisition. They despise all that is supernatural and use soul-devouring fire to hunt cursed pirates. And you are in charge of those, so that's not cool. Anyway, the game is made by the same bunch of people as Desperados 3 and Shadow Tactics titles, so I can assure you that the level of awesomeness is pretty high here. Anyway, you will sail on a sentient cursed ship, which will act as your base of operations. You will hire new crew members, pick missions to embark on, and do many other nitpicky piratey things. I was really impressed by the tiny details of the ship. Its design is absolutely awesome. A lot of time was invested in making it, although I didn't like the controls of the camera. I didn't like them at all. If I had to rate camera controls of this game in a range from a pile of snot to an awesome exploding supernova, these controls would be somewhere where the dandruffs are, so not so far from a pile of snot. But the combat was the coolest thing. Game is a participant of the real-time tactics genre, meaning that you will have to make your plan of future activities in your head at first, and only then dive into the real thing. Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. As people say, this game is a mix of Batman, Assassin's Creed, The Witcher and Tetris. Why Tetris, you ask? As I always say, in this game, just like in Tetris, enemies will come at you in all shapes and sizes at different speeds, and you will have to make them disappear if you want to survive. See, Middle-earth is just like Tetris. Deal with it. Here the visuals and the world captures the essence of Middle-earth absolutely perfectly. You know, in the same way like potato salad captures your taste buds, just like that. If you are a fan of Tolkien's world, this game will make you an addict. This is a real orc-killing simulator after all. The story is also nice to say the least, and combat is very satisfying. You will feel as a bit overpowered combat god, but that won't affect the gameplay itself. You will always get some really hard adversaries to test the strength of your mental balls. Don't be shy, have them big and hairy so your enemies would die from fear alone. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. This is probably the best fantasy open-world RPG ever created, and I doubt that I could find anyone who at least never heard of it. Well, at least inside the Western influence hemisphere, it's a true legend. On Steam it has more than 600,000 reviews, and 96% of these people recommend this game for you. Anyway, the game has an incredible story, super fun gameplay, and a huge dark fantasy open world to explore. The coolest thing is, of course, your profession. You kill monsters for money, so you can just travel around the map and fulfill contracts ignoring the main story as long as you want or as long as you can get a new contract. And every single monster hunt is a handcrafted mission with different outcomes and sometimes hard moral choices. The Witcher is probably the best game I have ever played. SOMA. Here you will explore an abandoned underwater facility in the bottom of the ocean. You don't know what happened here, where everybody is, and what is your purpose.
What is my purpose?
You pass butter.
Oh my god.
Although soon enough you will find out that you are not alone here. You will walk through creepy corridors, experience weird paranormal events, and all the time feel the hundreds of meters of water above you. And not everybody you'll meet on this journey will be willing to give you a direction or two. Most of the inhabitants will be willing to make a potato salad out of you instead, so be careful. If you played any Amnesia game, be aware that SOMA's gameplay is basically the same, just set in absolutely different place. SOMA has a great story, cool ending, and is a masterpiece in general. Darkwood. This is a survival horror from a top-down perspective that is quite terrifying to play. Well, at first you may think,
What is so terrifying in this? I can barely see things, they are so small.
you know what else is small? Of course you know, but don't worry, I can keep a secret. Or can I? Subscribe, let's be friends with benefits. This way all your secrets will be safe with me. This game is all about immersion and it will drag you in so hard you won't be able to escape. And also it will grow some balls on your hair and maybe even on your eyebrows. Yeah, you heard right. By day you explore the randomly generated ever sinister woods, scavenge for materials, craft weapons and discover new secrets. And by night you find shelter, barricade yourself inside abandoned buildings, set up traps and hide or defend yourself from the horrors of the Darkwood. No Man's Sky. Developers say that here you can become anything you want, but it's obvious that you can't become a pirate giraffe with palm trees instead of legs, or an ocean filled with pink shoes. You can't become an ocean here, so realistically speaking, you have limited choices of what you may become. But in general, this game lets you choose from many different paths. Will you be a fighter preying on the weak and taking their delicious potato salad by force, or a merchant who will find rich resources on forgotten worlds and exploit them for the highest prices? Or maybe an explorer, go beyond the known frontier and discover places and things that no one has ever seen before, like, you know, whiskey without a hangover. Nobel Prize guaranteed.
That's not how the Nobel Prize works.
Oh, shut up. So in general, No Man's Sky procedurally generates the whole universe. It's still a bit smaller than your mama, but it will be enough for you to dive in for a few days at least, or maybe more. A lot of people who left comments on Steam, for example, have from about 20 to 150 hours of playtime. You can also play it in VR mode, although it's not a requirement by any means. The Wolf Among Us. This is a gritty, violent and mature thriller based on the award-winning Fables comic books. You'll discover that a brutal, bloody murder is just a beginning where every decision can have enormous consequences. And it's not only what you choose to do will affect your story, but when you choose to do it as well. You don't need to know anything about the comics this game is based on, because events in this story are set before the events seen in the first book. And this game gives you an option to beat up practically anyone you don't like. Sadly, you can't import that energy-sucking coworker of yours in this game, but hey, you can beat him up in real life instead. I mean, if you are stronger than him. If not, just smile and blame your genes. Kerbal Space Program. While the second part of the game is still a disaster with 50% of review score, the first part will never fail to entertain us. This game is fun, but also it is very hard. Here you'll have to create your own spaceship, and rocket science is anything but easy. It's not your sister.
Wait, what?
Anyway, building a spaceship here reminds me of creating abominations in Spore. Every detail can be scaled, turned, and attached to another detail, so you have to do everything right in order to take a space flight. The game has a really good physics engine, so you can take off successfully with a giant unicorn or something, but if you practice enough you can send a giant potato salad bowl to the moon. Nah, you probably can't, but you can try. Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition. This is the Dragon Age game that is beloved the most, and this version of the game includes all 9 content packs and even Awakening expansion where you will become the commander of the Grey Wardens and embark on a new campaign. You fight new enemies, learn new spells and fend off the advancing Darkspawn forces. People on Steam are talking that even if this game looks and feels a bit old, you can just download and install 100 mods or so and make it look new and shiny again. Well, I have some doubts about that new shininess, but in general it's not that old and it's enjoyable nowadays. The main story will take about 40 hours to complete and the expansion will take additional 50 hours of your time. That is a great deal, no doubt. LA Noire. This is a violent crime thriller that blends action with true detective work. You will search for clues, chase down suspects and interrogate witnesses as you struggle to find the truth in a city where everyone has something to hide. And when you try to unearth the sinister secrets, there is a huge chance that someone will try to silence you for good. During Hollywood's golden age, you play as LAPD detective thrown headfirst into a city drowning in its own success. Corruption is rampant, the drug trade is exploding and murder rates are at an all-time high. So in your fight to climb the ranks and do what's right, you must unravel the truth behind a string of arson attacks, racketeering conspiracies and brutal murders. People on Steam are saying that civilian casualties are just a part of the job, and the game itself is like a noir GTA 5. Titan Chaser. It's a meditative experience where you don't have to manage fuel, car maintenance, health or damage. Just find where to drive and how to use your tools effectively, or just forget about your work and drive through foggy landscapes to calm down after a hot day, although your job here is to find monsters and make them go away.
I think it is inspired by a Norwegian movie called Troll Hunter.
This is the best Norwegian accent I can do. Sue me. Game has very positive reviews and people on Steam are saying that this game is an absolute gem, really creative and ambitious project. Tannenberg. The game brings the massive battles of the Eastern Front and the First World War to life, with 64 players fighting for control of key sectors of the battlefield, each one offering a distinct strategic advantage. Here you'll find authentic atmosphere with accuracy in everything, from maps and weaponry to uniforms. The game has great tactical squad-based FPS, players Romanian, Latvian, Austro-Hungarian, German or Bulgarian. But I have to warn you that if you don't have 64 friends, just forget about those 64 player battles. The last update was a year ago and there's like 30 people online averagely at all time. Still, the price is nice and so is the game. Killing Floor 2. He will descend into continental Europe, where the outbreak caused by a failed experiment has quickly spread and gained unstoppable momentum, essentially paralyzing the European Union. Well, that sucks, I live here. The monster clones are everywhere and civilization is in disarray. Communications have failed, governments have collapsed, and military forces have been systematically eradicated. The people of Europe know survival and self-preservation too well, and lucky survivors have gone into hiding. Well, all except you and your friends. You kill the monster scum and make Europe great again. You'll find a bunch of playable characters in online co-op mode, or solo mode if you are willing to brave the horrific mutants alone. Also, the game has cool versus survival game mode, a 12-player PvP match where two teams take turns playing humans versus monsters. The game has around 90% of positive reviews, so it's probably the shooter you were looking for.
Iron Danger.
This is a tactical combat game with a very cool time manipulation mechanic that blends the tactical depth of the turn-based games with the action of real-time strategy. You'll be in control of two characters and will use a variety of skills and your IQ to overcome the challenges. I'm not gonna lie, I tried the game and my brain was overheating all the time. The core of Iron Danger is its unique time control mechanic. You can rewind time for up to 5 seconds whenever you want, trying different strategies and combinations of moves until you find the right one for the task. Your characters can only take 2 or 3 hits at maximum before they die, so you will be rewinding all the time. In general, you can't really die here if you choose to. This is a curse and a blessing in one. Anyway, this price is really nice, although the game can become a bit grindy and repetitive. Keep that in mind as well. Slay the Spire. More than 100,000 players are recommending this game for you, and so do I. Slay the Spire is a fuse of card games and roguelike titles. Here you can craft a unique deck, encounter bizarre creatures, and discover relics of immense power while trying to climb up the ladder. Game features a dynamic deck building, so assemble your deck wisely. Discover hundreds of cards to add to your deck with each attempt at climbing the spire. Select cards that work together to efficiently dispatch foes and reach the top. People on Steam are talking that Slay the Spire is really addictive, and yeah, I'm seeing a lot of hours played in the comment section. 200 is quite a casual number here, so another game that will keep your virginity safe and sound for a long time. And now, thank you for watching, have a nice day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!